So, the translations are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 373, and let's just say that we get the return of a fan favorite character that is going to change the tide of this war, potentially for the better or potentially for the worse. Well, we're just going to have to wait and see who that character is, but first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Andrew, and I'm here to cover the translations and the chapter for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 373, titled Friends. Aww, this is going to be a very wholesome chapter, isn't it? Oh yeah, I keep forgetting, we're talking about discrimination and racism. This isn't going to end well, is it? So yeah, we're going to be reviewing this chapter, and when it comes to this chapter, I think that this was a very solid chapter. It seems to sort of, in a way, wrap up the racism and discrimination plotline in My Hero Academia fairly well in my own opinion, as well as dive a little bit more into the character of Spinner, why he does the things that he does, and what it's going to do and lead to a major change and shift in the war towards the end of this chapter with the revival and the return of a very prominent character that has the ability to pretty much change the entirety of this war, most likely to benefit the villains. So, let's dive into the chapter and review what this is going to be. And to start off, the hints are very obvious for what this chapter is most likely going to be focusing on, where we get a color page of Kurogiri with Shiro Kumo's face coming out of it, which is going to be something that we're going to see later on in the chapter. But we just have this very beautiful cover page with the title of His Body is Dyed with Darkness Itself, as we get a very good look at Shiro Kumo's face inside of Kurogiri. And pretty much the front part of this chapter is just getting more of a resolve or the resolution of the discrimination plot line in My Hero Academia, because as Shoji is still trying to prevent these people from going into the hospital by the words and the advice of apparently President Mike telling him to make sure that everything is okay while President Mike goes to the hospital, Shoji is attacked by one of the heteromorphs in the crowd, but is blocked by the Pigman, and this is something that Horikoshi has been doing throughout the entire story so far, where we have pretty much the kids, the students, the heroes pretty much instigating the change for the entire populace. However, they're not going to be the ones to necessarily be the defining factor for things to change, because we have the Pigman beginning to question like why he's doing this, why he's using his rage, how his rage should be used, and he's questioning whether or not what he's doing right now is right. And how he says that his blood has been boiling and that he thought that this was the time to act because they finally had a leader and that this is something that they needed to do, but now he's not sure of it anymore. Now he doesn't know if he actually wants to cause harm to his enemies because he doesn't really truly know who his enemy is. And this is great because this is something that Horikoshi has been doing. He's been showing that these people, these civilians, are going to need to be the ones to begin to step up to the plate. They can't just wait for someone else to be their leader and speak for them. They have to speak for themselves. Which ties into the idea of like a societal flaw with My Hero Academia, which is the over-reliance on heroes and causing everyone else to be a bystander. And the idea is that the heroes literally can't do everything and they can't be everywhere, so the civilians have to be the ones to step up and take on roles as being sort of heroes themselves. And that's kind of what the conclusion of this entire racism, discrimination plotline is coming towards. Not necessarily that what they are doing is wrong, which Shoji even emphasizes that what they are doing is not necessarily wrong, but that they still had the right intentions even if it's done through the wrong way, but that they should let that anger fuel them to actually create a better future. Which completely goes against the Paranormal Liberation Front leader, who has finally broken down and just told them to stop being rational and that they should be attacking people because everyone that ignored them is their enemy. But as we see in the chapter, the heroes begin to realize that, oh yeah, we didn't really realize how bad it was. We're sorry. Even to the point where Rocklock begins to question, we were literally fighting these people with violence. we probably shouldn't have done that, as he begins to think that they need to go into the hospital and reinforce it and protect Kurogiri. So pretty much the gist of this is the idea that the reasoning why they were discriminated against and a lot of racism was thrown at them is that that's just how the world works, but that they can make it a better world by just shaming the people for their actions and being backed by literally everyone else, to the point where the people who are discriminating the heteromorphs either have to change or they just have to deal with it, which either way is going to be a win for those who have heteromorphic quirks, because now they will have actually people backing and supporting them, and it's not just going to be on them. Everyone is going to help them and lift them up so that they can all be shined by the light and not just stay in the darkness. So yeah, it's cool that even though this racism plotline was still a minor one in the world of the My Hero Academia story, that it still ties into what the story has been trying to say the solution to many of the problems in hero society is, which is that the civilians and the people and the heroes need to recognize that they have not been doing their best and actually actively do things to help everyone, no matter where, who, or what they are. So with that pretty much being the first half of the chapter, the second half of the chapter is just dealing with Kurogiri and what's going on with him as Spinner and President Mike are trying their best to awaken him. And what's interesting is that at this moment, Spinner is at his lowest low. He realizes that the recording with All For One and Shigaraki Tomura's voice on it is being destroyed. As President Mike also comes to a realization that if he cannot keep the good memories with Shirokumo, then it's probably best for this individual to disappear, and to retain the good memories that both President Mike as well as Aizawa have, as so that they don't get tainted. But as President Mike is trying to reawaken Shirokumo, Spinner is trying to reawaken Kurogiri, and as he begins to question that he's just being nothing, and that he was nothing, and that his heart was empty, all that he wants to do is pretty much follow Shigaraki Tomura and help him, we see that he's able to finally have the resolve to get up and put the broken, disfigured, darkened hand that was once Shigaraki upon the face of Kurogiri with just sheer willpower. He was unconscious on the floor, but with this last singular moment that is driving him forward, just thinking about wanting to help Tomura Shigaraki, he puts the hand on Kurogiri's face and says, "Let's help Tomura Shigaraki and the others." And this one singular action before Spinner passes out leads to the reawakening of Kurogiri, as he says that he is going to be the one to protect Tomura Shigaraki as the chapter ends. So overall, this pretty much emphasizes that, yeah, Kurogiri is going to be reawakened, and potentially, Shirokumo may come into play, but at this moment, it seems as if it's going to be purely Kurogiri. And what I enjoyed about this is that Spinner really comes to a realization that, yeah, no, I'm literally nothing. I've never been nothing. I really have nothing very beneficial to me as a person, but even still, I still want to help Shigaraki because he's the only thing in my life that has actually given me some form of purpose for just moving on, so I'm going to do anything to help him. That's pretty much what Spinner is thinking, and just that thinking and that resolve pretty much gives the villains potentially a very huge advantage in this war, because now they can all be reconvened into one large area where they can just go ham on the heroes. Or Kurogiri could just go to the location of Tomura Shigaraki inside of the coffin and either warp everyone else out, warp away Aizawa, or warp away Shigaraki himself alongside Deku and some other people so that he could cause the massive amount of damage that he could potentially do, and actually allow for this new individual that has the personality of Tomura Shigaraki to pretty much allow him to actually begin destroying everything and anything. This is going to set up for a final fight between Deku and Shigaraki. Who knows? All we know is that this is not going to be a good thing for the heroes if Kurogiri is allowed to be able to use his power whenever he wants. But yeah, that's pretty much all that this chapter really has. Just getting to see more or less the resolution for the discrimination plotline in the story of My Hero Academia for the first half, and getting the reawakening of Kurogiri in the second half. How is this going to change the story? It's going to change it for a lot of different reasons, and I may go into a little bit more of it in a different video. But yeah, what did you think of the chapter? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? I think this was a very solid chapter. I really did enjoy it because I really do enjoy the characters of Shoji in the story, and we got a little bit more development for him throughout this entire arc. So I think that overall, this discrimination plotline, while not the best that I've seen in fiction, is far from the worst thing that Horikoshi could have actually done in this story, especially with the story that he's trying to tell, with the idea that when it comes to racism, discrimination, these are things that can be more avoidable if everyone is able to take initiative and take action against it. Not just one or two people, but literally everyone in the world doing so. So for me personally, I enjoyed this plot line. Whether or not it is as massive as it could be is irrelevant to me, because I still think that at the very least it's done competently enough to be enjoyable. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about this. Hopefully you enjoyed this chapter, hopefully you enjoyed this review, and if you did, leave a like down on the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I upload more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!